Right now on Denver 7 News at 8 o'clock on Local 3, inspections show multiple code violations before a deadly fire broke out this weekend at a local apartment complex. What one woman had to do to escape the flames.
Also, a Colorado mother wants answers after she said her child was slammed against a wall at a daycare. We're looking into past allegations at this same center.
And the Denver Nuggets are headed to the playoffs. Who's playing who, though, first to determine the matchups for their opening round? Coming up. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brian Sanders.
I'm Nicole Brady. Lisa Hidalgo keeping an eye outside, and it is just going to be another beautiful day.
It is, yeah, no complaints. Gorgeous weather for the next few days. In fact, we are going to be in the upper 70s to low 80s here through Thursday. Friday, there are some changes. We'll take a closer look at that coming up. But right now, lots of sunshine, clear skies, already in the 40s here early this morning. So getting out for a walk or run, you don't really need to be that bundled up. We're going to be at about 56 degrees by 10 o'clock and then well into the upper 60s by lunchtime. A good 10 degrees on top of that for a high. We have Denver at 77. In the spring, some low to mid 70s. Closer to 75 near Greeley, Fort Collins, Loveland, and Longmont, and then 50s and sunshine for the mountains here this afternoon. Next coming up is going to be our cold front come Friday. So Thursday night into Friday, increasing clouds, scattered rain showers, chance for some showers, and then that could briefly switch over to a little bit of snow, Jason, on Saturday. And Saturday is definitely going to be chillier.
Yeah, but it's so warm, it's probably going to be that slop that we might see, maybe a little bit of slush, but mostly just wet expected. Right now, you can see the overall drive, very typical stuff, slow in those usual spots. And you can see that on the map here this morning, whether it's going to be up to the north side of town, where a new problem just coming in now, just in the last 30 seconds. No big problems for us down to the south side. Let me take you to the east side of town, where there is a crash still on the southbound side of E470, right here before you get to I-70, which is down there. So we have some lanes that are blocked, but no other big delays for you on the tollway. Not seeing any big problems here on 270. Sounds like there might be a new problem on southbound I-25 right around 84th Avenue. That's already heavy coming in from around 104th and busy across downtown. But the rest of the commute, very typical stuff.
We want to get to some breaking news this morning. We are just learning of an active shooting in Louisville, Kentucky, and you can see the heavy police presence that has been there for hours this morning in the downtown area. The police department has reported there are multiple casualties. The governor of Kentucky is now headed to the scene as we take a live look from the helicopter there at the scene, and the police seem to have centered around the Slugger Field ballpark in the downtown area on Main Street and a nearby bank where there were bullet holes seen in the windows. The governor tweeted, "Please pray for all the families impacted and for the city of Louisville." We are staying on top of this and will continue to get more information as it comes in, but clearly a very active scene with many law enforcement officials and a command center, it appears, set up on scene.
Well, here in the metro, one person died and dozens of families are now displaced after a fire at the Ivy Crossing apartments near Harvard and Quebec. Denver 7 got a hold of a fire inspection report that shows the complex already had several fire code violations. Denver 7's Brandon Richard looked into the stories of people who had to run for their lives and how this could have all possibly been prevented.
Well, you know, it's a peaceful morning here at Ivy Crossing Apartments. A very different scene just a little more than 48 hours ago. It was a chaotic scene. That's when fire officials say the fire broke out around 4 o'clock in the morning when most people were sleeping. We know that unfortunately one person died, 2 people were injured, and more than 20 people displaced from their homes. Now on Sunday, Denver 7 obtained a fire inspection report that showed multiple violations throughout the apartment complex. The report showed that manual fire alarms were not in many of the buildings, including the building that caught on fire. It showed that fire extinguishers were also missing. Inspectors say fire-resistant doors did not close properly. All of these violations were found just 2 months before the fire. Now, these were some of the same problems that tenants told us they have been complaining about. Some tenants even documenting the problems in their own videos. We also spoke with Abigail Jones. She and her sister live in the building that caught on fire, a building that fire inspectors say had no fire alarm. She says that she woke up because she felt extremely warm and could smell the smoke in her apartment. but by then she and her sister had no choice than to jump from their third-floor apartment.
I had to throw my dog, my sister had to throw her cat, and it was just awful. If we would have stayed there a second longer, we would have died. So I'm very thankful to be alive.
A terrifying moment for them, a terrifying moment for their pets as well. Abigail says that the cat they threw down darted off somewhere, and they're not sure if their other cat actually made it out of the apartment. So they are missing both of their cats this morning. Now, we have reached out to the property management to try to see how they plan to address all of those code violations and all of the complaints that we've been hearing from tenants. So far, we have not heard back. Reporting in Arapahoe County, Brandon Richard, Denver 7.
Aurora schools will soon have a new superintendent for the first time in a decade. All three of the finalists will meet with the community this week. Dr. Michael Giles will spend a day in the district tomorrow. Andre Wright will do the same Wednesday, and Thursday it will be Dr. Nia Campbell's turn.
And they meet with a number of constituents, stakeholders, parents, staff, students. So it's a very, very long day for the finalists.
The meet and greet for staffers will be each day from 4:30 to 6 p.m. and then APS families and community members are invited from 6 to 7. The meetings are happening at the APS Professional Learning and Conference Center on East 1st Avenue in Aurora.
Former Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters is expected to be sentenced today for a misdemeanor obstruction charge. Last month, she was found guilty of refusing to turn over an iPad that was used to record a court hearing last year about a former Mesa County deputy clerk. The case is separate from Peters' alleged involvement in a voting machine security breach. Back in 2021, she let a hard drive be copied with an update for those machines.
The A-line is back in service this morning after a person was hit and killed on the tracks yesterday. This happened at Smith Road and Monaco Parkway. Police are still investigating and haven't said what the person was doing on the tracks.
If you haven't filed your federal income taxes yet, you have 1 week left. Soon the IRS will have even more agents to make sure everything is filled out correctly. The agency just announced its plan to spend $80 billion provided by Congress to go towards hiring 7,000 new auditors. The IRS says the extra agents would let them audit more wealthy Americans and corporations.
A traffic alert for drivers in the high country. Right now, CDOT is working on emergency pothole repairs near the Eisenhower Tunnel. We have seen this winter how dangerous potholes have been. CDOT says crews will permanently repair a large pothole on the bridge over Highway 6. Most of the work will happen overnight. During the times that crews need to work during daylight hours, eastbound lanes will be reduced to just one lane. CDOT says the work should be finished by the end of May.
Delta Airlines says an unruly passenger forced a plane to land in Denver yesterday. Flight 445 was going from Atlanta to Portland when it had an unscheduled stop here. Now the FBI is investigating. We asked the agency what the passenger was doing to force the landing here, and we're waiting to hear back.
Denver police are looking for a 26-year-old man who has not been seen or heard from in a week. 26-year-old James Montoya was last seen at the Hangar Bar in Lakewood last Sunday. He was wearing a dark blue sport coat, light blue pants, and brown shoes. His family told us he was seen on camera leaving with a man they don't recognize. They say he hasn't shown up to work and that calls are not going through to his phone. They say his credit and debit cards have not been used.
It's heart-wrenching, and it's a pain that we've never had experienced before, and it's hard not to let your mind go somewhere that it doesn't need to go. And so we're just trusting, and I'm believing.
Yeah, and if you know anything, call the Denver Police tip line.
Well, we are barely into spring and already we're dealing with wildfires, some that have come very close to home. So this week, fire prevention experts will be in Fort Collins to talk about how we can become more fire resistant in Colorado.
We're going to bring together over 300 of these wildfire resilience leaders from around the state to convene and spend a week of learning and sharing ideas and trying to come up with better ideas for how to accelerate wildfire adaptation across the state.
They will also visit the Poudre watershed to see the recovery and prevention work being done there. The last time the group met was back in 2021, which was before the Marshall Fire.
Colorado is one of several states pushing to ban cosmetics with toxic chemicals. These chemicals are known as PFAS. They are commonly found in things like shampoo, makeup, deodorant, and hair dye. The chemicals are linked to an increased risk of cancer, organ damage, and developmental delays in children. Mirroring a Colorado law, Vermont passed legislation last week to ban manufacturers and suppliers from selling products containing the chemicals. Want to get you an update on that breaking news we brought you at the top of the hour. An active shooting situation in Louisville, Kentucky. CNN now reporting 6 people have been shot, including a police officer. This all happening on Main Street in downtown Louisville, where there is still a large police presence. We will continue to keep you updated as we learn more.
Taking a look at your sports news this morning, the Nuggets wrapped up the regular season with a win. Nice to see them finish strong. The reserves led the way with a 109-95 victory against the Kings. All the starters are resting up this week for the playoffs, but they'll have to wait and see who they play in their opening round. They will take on the 8th seed Sunday afternoon at Ball Arena. The Nuggets will host game 1, but the play-in tournament starts tomorrow with Minnesota taking on the Lakers. And then Wednesday, it's Oklahoma City and New Orleans. So depending on what happens there and who beats who, the Nuggets could play any of those 4 teams.
Well, East High School students will be headed back to class for the first full week of school since a shooting at the school. But parents aren't happy about an email sent over the weekend. What they're doing today to get answers.
Also, a legal battle is brewing over contradictory rulings of a common abortion pill, why they could strengthen Colorado as a sanctuary state for abortion services.